Testing, testing, testing. JB here. August 23rd, 2021. Going to be really quick. Don't have too much to talk about, despite the fact that I've made more trades today than I probably made all of the past 2 weeks combined. Joking aside, first I'll bring up Intercept. So you had that acquisition this morning of Trill, TRIL. Not saying it's the similar kind of product that Intercept has, but I think it brings attention to the biotech space. You see IBB up quite a bit today, and then you start looking at some of these names that are completely oversold. Intercept trades nearly 1 times revenues. They still have the possibility of some FDA approval in the NASH space, although that's kind of far out there. There's also an 18% short interest. There's insider buys. Some directors have bought shares in the 20s. So I think all those factors together, I'm not saying it's going back to 30, 40, $50 in the next week or two, but I think there's an opportunity to play for a bounce. So that's why I went and got those calls today. I think 15, $16 in the next couple of days is not out of the question, especially as more people kind of say, wow, it's down here at 13. Well, it's 13.91 right now. At some point, I look to lock at least some of my calls in for a double. What are they right now? They were 765 by 80. I didn't even pull them up, so I have to look. So, at some point I look to lock some of those in to cover costs. Oh, they're actually back to 80.85. Probably around $1 or so. Maybe we'll get a gap tomorrow morning. So that's Intercept. Second, NetEase. So NetEase I talked about all last week, and for some reason I thought they reported earnings this week. They actually report next week on the 30th, so a week from today. You take a look at what's going on with China and the regulators, and they're pulling back on all these tech names that they think have probably gained too much power, I guess is how you would word it. There's possibility of more regulations going forward. They did in the online education sector, gaming. There's been rumors about the gaming sector. China's concerned it's kind of poisoning the brains of the children there, which, that's a concern in every country. Kids playing too many video games, but at the same, on the same kind of side of the fence, gaming is not going away. It's a huge sector. NetEase is front and center. It's down substantially over the last month or so from its, I think it was 130 or so highs. They have earnings, so I think maybe it has a possibility, especially if there's some kind of a little bid up in China equities this week. They kind of recoup some of the losses over the last couple weeks. I think there's an opportunity in some of these names, especially. NetEase I would is the one I favor, but Baba, of course, Baidu, YY, Weibo, Sina, so could get a little bounce in those names. So that's kind of thought process there. Hopefully get another gap. China opens 2-3% to the upside overnight. NetEase could be 87, $88, and I'll be able to lock some of my calls in and ride the rest. That's the thought process there. Wide open West, not really going to say too much about that. Was hoping to get some on Friday. Well, not hoping. I was watching it. But I didn't feel comfortable with the market. I was waiting for today to kind of show a bid, which the market's doing pretty good today. So went and got some wide open West calls. Have plenty of time on the strikes. Again, I've said this on the rants last week and the week before. It seems it trades up and down on no catalyst. So all the way down from 24 into the 19s. Bounce Friday. I think it gets back into all-time highs in the coming weeks. So that's kind of the thought process there. I'm not going to say too much about that. The JYNT. Back over into the 90s. I was looking at the 110s and I'm like, I don't know. It's up quite a bit. Was it over 10% since Friday over the last 2 sessions? Not in a rush. It's not like it's a name that's going to go, it goes bonkers intraday. So maybe I'll try and get some calls tomorrow morning. At the same token, I'm still a little cautious on the market. So I'll kind of sit on my hands for now on the JYNT. And then Jackson Hole, right? Nobody really talked about Jackson Hole too much, and now that I'm sure the headlines are going to continue to, catch fire in regards to Jackson Hole. Not only that, it's the first Jackson Hole that's going to be virtual, so it's going to be online. You have Powell's going to be talking at 10 o'clock on Friday. You also have PCE numbers. The personal consumer consumption. I don't even know what the acronym stands for. PCE I had in my head before, but that is the benchmark for the Fed, how they benchmark inflation. So personal consumer expenditures, is that it, PCE? So you have that at 8:30. You have Powell at 10 o'clock. I don't know if he's going to come out with prepared remarks. Sometimes he does that a lot of times, especially on a big speech. So it's possible he comes out with prepared remarks before the open on Friday. So certainly some fireworks that day. I mean, market's at high, so either we have a blue sky breakout and SPY is going to be at 455, 460, or it's the start of a market correction, right? Was it 204 days since the last 5% pullback in the markets? Certainly something to pay attention to. Testing, testing, testing. Sorry about that, folks. A couple other things I was looking at. Well, first, it's the first time in recent memory that I went and watched CNBC today. I don't know why. Maybe I need some distraction. But the midday, what is it, Power Lunch, whatever I go on, and Wapner, who I think it's Wapner's his name. Usually he hosts it. I guess he's not on today. And then it was just like the most. I don't even know how to phrase it. But I listen to people talk about their stock picks, and it's like, oh, it trades 4 times cash discount, just that, like, and it wasn't even in an articulate way. It was like, oh my gosh, this person's just trying to like rationalize their bullish case on the stock, but like couldn't articulate it in a way that made sense. But they hope that you're not, I guess, savvy enough to realize it. Like, just I don't know. I'm not going to go here. No, there are stories for other days, but yeah. So then I turned it off. All right, so that's the JYNT, Jackson Hole. Yeah, so I mean, not going to go too much into Jackson Hole. Obviously, Ben Bernanke had his big speech. Maybe it was 2013 when we had the same kind of situation. It seems like we've been in this for so long now where we have to, the Fed has to pare back on their accommodative measures, right? All they've been doing is feeding this market Kool-Aid, and people say, oh, it's going to do is kill the dollar. Markets, it's going to cause hyperinflation. If you look at some of the gold bugs, and there's a case to be made there, but that's their, they'll cite the Fed every day because the Fed is doing what you would think would make sense for a gold bug, right? They're diluting the U.S. currency. The more currency out there, the less valuable it becomes. And if you look at an asset class that should hedge yourself on that, would be gold. But unfortunately, we're in a situation where there's a lot of other stores of value now. Whether the gold bugs want to, agree with that or acknowledge it. I mean, you have cryptocurrencies now, and then you have it's just totally different landscape now than it was 10 years ago. And back in the day, if things were going nuts, you would think gold. Oh, everybody can barter with gold or whatever. But if things went crazy, of course you need the internet to be on, right? You need electricity, you need power. Otherwise, the crypto, you really can't do much with crypto. If you can, but in a certain aspect, it's tough, right? So so interesting. So we'll have to see how this all plays out with the Fed and the accommodative measures and so on and so forth. I put on I think it was the last couple of weeks. Take a look at the SPY. That 50-day moving average seems like a rock, right? I mean, if you want to get any test and you want to be more confident in upside, I think if we get a pullback to that on Friday, if there's anything crazy and it bounces, and I think it's a green light. It's all systems go, and I think it's a serious buy to dip opportunity. Let's see if I can pull it up. But if not, if that breaches and we break through, then I think we're setting up for that 5 or 10% or more correction. And it's funny, these corrections will happen on no true catalyst, right? I'm trying to think some of the examples. Maybe it's 2014. There was a crazy small cap pullback. Maybe I think it was 20% in 2014. I'll have to go back and look at some of the pullbacks. But I remember at that time it was Barron's puts this big front page article, this big bubble, all these pictures of bubbles, and then saying we're in the midst of a bubble, and then having all these stocks in little bubbles and saying, oh, those bubbles will burst. And meanwhile, here it is 7 years later. I'll see if I can find that Barron's cover, and those stocks are up 5, 6, 8, 1,000%. And then, ironically enough, over the weekend, it's a bullish tech piece from Barron's. So it's kind of comical because Barron's has been pretty much one of those, I wouldn't call them continued bearish on the tech space, but since 2008, 2009, if you read Barron's, you would be in puts on Tesla, puts on Facebook, puts on Netflix, 3 or 4 articles at minimum on Netflix, bearish pieces. 2 or 3 at least on Tesla. So here we are, and those stocks are up substantially. Maybe them being somewhat more bullish on the tech space. I think they cited the cloud. I mean, the cloud's not an innovation that just came around, right? I mean, if you're following Amazon's growth story, AWS was subsidizing their business, and it continues to do so. So it's not something that's out of left field. Microsoft's climb from $30, 5 or whatever, 6 years ago, a lot of it has to do with its cloud. So, you know, who knows what that all looks like. But rants for other days. Some earnings this week. Peloton, and it's not doing much today. Had a downgrade from Oppenheimer, so I'm not apt to get some calls here. Maybe I'll wait till tomorrow, see if it finds a bid. But all it's doing is killing premium. And then you have Splunk, right? SPLK. That's a name I used to never like before, but I think there was a fund put it on his 13F filing. Who was it? I forget who it was. And then it's sitting. It's a very tight setup. And, I'm not a chartist, so I don't sit here and try and get calls just based on the chart. But if you're looking for an inexpensive possible lotto, and I think they report earnings, is it Thursday? Let's see if I can pull it up. But that's one of those names I'm certainly looking at as a possible earnings premium build. Oh, they're Wednesday, so I'm going to have to get them either before the close. Oh, well, I'm not getting them before the close, so I'll probably get them tomorrow. But look at that tight setup, and if I pull back the chart back on Splunk, it was not that it means anything that it was a $230 stock, but if it has some kind of beat and raise, I mean, it's going to go nuts. But this could be set up like another Alteryx as well, right? AYX, quarter after quarter, people thought, oh, that was it, and the stock just continued to get destroyed. So I'm not going to sit here and try and time it, but I think there might be an opportunity there in SPLK. Ideally, the perfect scenario would be get some calls tomorrow, it ramps up during the day, get premiums high into the close, locks them in to cover costs, and go from there. But actually, I think I have till Wednesday, right? Wednesday after the close, so we got 2 days. So that's it, folks. I'll try and get back on the audio, tomorrow morning at the open, and rock and roll. Let's have a great day. I'll be back.